recall. How do we teach our dogs a reliable recall, and how do we make sure that when we call their name, they're going to turn around and actually pay attention to us and do the behavior we ask them to do? So dogs don't really understand the meaning of a name, as they don't understand the meaning of come or here, or any sound or any word that we want them to respond to. So we need to make sure that we create value for sounds that are going to be related to paying attention, giving eye contact, getting that focus back that we ask the dog. So the first and the most important one when we get a puppy home is the name. I want my dog to know that their name is the best sound that they can hear. So how do we make sure that we get a response out of that name that we decide is going to be the way we get the dog attention, and then eventually we get the dog to come back? Once we decide that their name is going to be Jock, that's his name, I'm going to do what is called the name game. The name game is one of the many very important games that are going to give us that reliable recall, and it's your foundation game. Now, if you have a puppy, you want to carry on this game for months. If you have a dog that never had any training, or if you need to retrain your dog attention and recall, then again, carry on this game for months. It's not a game that you do today and then you forget about it tomorrow. It's a game that you keep doing until your dog has understanding exactly what you want from them. And it's about building value. Think about this name as a pot, and every time you reward this name, you put money into that pot. You need to fill the pot. You need to make it valuable to the point that then it's going to be rich enough to keep you happy. So how are we going to make it? I would say 3 times a day or more, a minimum 3 times a day. You grab a handful of those treats that you use, or I have a pot of dry food, good quality dry food here. Okay, so I've got a good handful, and I'm going to start the game. So I'm sitting, or I can stand, or I can sit on the ground with the dog, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to say his name and reward him. Jock, 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 Jock. So I'm not asking for any behavior. I just want my dog to hear the name and get a treat every time they hear it. Jock, Jock, Jock. I can also hide the treats. Jock. By hiding the treat, I actually get a dog that looks at me instead of looking at my hand. I can also wait, Jock. And when he looks at me, I say the name and reward. Jock. 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 Make sure that the game is not sitting, so if the dog stands, it doesn't matter. Jock. 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 This is the first part of the game. Now, once we play this game, I would say at least for a few days, to build that value, because the problem is that you've been using possibly your dog name so many times without rewarding that your dog is now just ignoring it, is not paying attention to that game, that name is not important anymore to your dog ears. So you want to re-put the value into it. So make sure that if that's your problem, or if that's what you're struggling with, the listening of the name and the paying attention and the response to the name, just work on that first part for a few days. Now, once you've worked on that for a few days, then you're going to add a little thing to it. What you're going to do is you're going to just show your dog you've got a treat, and you're going to throw that treat away. Jock! And then you're going to call the dog back to you. You're not sending the dog too far. You're not asking a behavior that is too complicated. You're going to throw the treat away, Jock, and then call the dog back to you. Throw the treat away, Jock. They know that they're going to get a treat every time they hear that Jock, that name. Sorry, seduto. Jock. And that's a recall. It's a very easy puppy recall. lost the treat. So he's sniffing the treat out. Juck. So the treat is just helping you to create that small juck. That small distraction. Juck. Juck. That is going to help the dog understanding that even if they look away from you, they can come back and look at you. Now, I don't really need my dog to be looking into my eyes, but that's another game that we are going to play. What I want at the moment, I want the dog to redirect towards me. So if I throw a treat away, Juck, I just want them to come back. I don't care about them watching, looking in my eyes. Juck. Okay, so this is a funny game that you can play outside, Juck. But you can also play it indoor if you don't have Juck space outside, or if there is a day that is not that nice, you can play this game out and about as well. Juck. Okay, bravo.